Ladies and gentlemen, if you look to your right, you'll see the rapidly approaching shape of an iconic British airshow formation. Bringing the sound of 6 Rolls-Royce Merlin engines. In from the right, the Supermarine Spitfire, Avro Lancaster and Hawker Hurricane at the virtual Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. As the formation heads out to reposition for a flat pass, Rock in the Hurricane and Josh is in the Spitfire, working hard to stay with Scooby in the Lancaster. As in the real memorial formation, the display is carefully choreographed and flown in a way that displays the aircraft in a sympathetic light, without the need to overstress or potentially damage these iconic machines. Royal Air Force Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, or vBBMF, operates from RAF Coningsby, a Typhoon base in Lincolnshire. The mission of RAF vBBMF is to maintain the priceless artefacts of our national heritage in an airworthy condition in order to commemorate those who have fallen in the service of this country, to promote the modern-day Air Force and to inspire future generations. Running back in from the left, memorial formation. As the Spitfire breaks high and climbs out of the display hold, Rock maneuvers the Hurricane into line astern. Lancaster produces a lot of prop wash, so the Hurricane formates slightly behind the bomber and lower, giving the occupant at the Fraser-Nash rear gun turret the ideal view of the fighter. It doesn't take a lot of imagination to think what it must have been like for the valiant rear gunners scanning the night sky for Nazi night fighters, who worked in temperatures far below 0 degrees in order to protect the crew and aircraft with their 4 Browning 303 machine guns. And look now high and left. Looking out for the iconic shape of the Supermarine Spitfire Mark 9. Diving in at close to 300 miles an hour, Josh's will now perform a graceful half Cuban. So he's put the G's on now, as he's pulling the aircraft up into a loop, or at least the first part of a loop. He'll get over the top and inverted, then roll the Spitfire out, so it's heading back on a reciprocal heading, flying back in the direction he came from. It's ideal for a re-attack. climbing again to perform a graceful barrel roll. A nice topside pass there. Once again, the aircraft will be pulling up a quarter turn and a half loop. That's a quarter turn. Here's the half loop. Down now, building speed. Getting a good view here, the Spitfire's unique elliptical wing shape. There's two prongs sticking out there at 20mm cannon. The Spitfire you see today represents a 75-year-old Mark 9E Mk356. On the 11th of March 1944, Mk356 was allocated to B flight at the recently formed 443 Hornet Squadron of the Royal Canadian Air Force based at Digby in Lincolnshire. Mk356 flew all its wartime operational sorties with B flight, and it took part in the D-Day operations. One of its pilots, a flying officer Gordon Ogden, Royal Canadian Air Force, claimed a shared confirmed kill against a German Messerschmitt Bf-109 on the 7th of June 1944, which was D-Day +1. A keen-eyed amongst you may spot that Mk356 is now painted in desert camouflage, representing a Spitfire Mark 9 of 92 East India Squadron, which fought in the North African campaign Tunisia during 1943. Diving in from the right, the distinctive all-black Hawker Hurricane representing one of BBMF's Hurricane 2Cs, LF-363. LF appears in the markings of a night fighter Hurricane 85 squadron which he wore during the early 1980s. Pulling the Hurricane around for a half Cuban. Coming down the flight line once again. Built at the Hawker factory at Langley near Slough, she first flew in January 1944 and is amongst the last Hurricanes to enter service with the Royal Air Force. The aircraft served with 63 Squadron at Turnhouse, 309 Polish Squadron at Drem, where it was used on shipping protection patrols off the east coast of Scotland, and 26 Squadron, which it flew naval artillery spotting and reconnaissance sorties before the end of the war. In 1957, after a major refit at Hawkers, LF became a founding aircraft at the RAF Historic Flight, the forerunner of BBMF, and the flight was inaugurated at Biggin Hill. It's probably no exaggeration to state that without this Hurricane, the BBMF would probably never have existed. Unfortunately for LF, her service with BBMF has not been continuous. On the 11th of September 1991, she suffered an engine mechanical failure which resulted in a crash landing at RAF Wittering. Pilot, Squadron Leader Al Martin, escaped with a broken ankle and minor burns, but the aircraft was seriously damaged in the ensuring fierce crash post-fire. LF366 was completely rebuilt by Historic Flying Limited between 1994 and 1998, when it flew again for the first time in 7 years, subsequently rejoining vBBMF. Unlike our night fighter Hurricane, today the real LF363 appears as an 8 machine gun armed Mark IIA and will always wear Battle of Britain era colour schemes to represent the few and the Hurricane, which along with the more famous Spitfire, bore the brunt of fighting during the Battle of Britain. Let's listen to LF363's Merlin engine. Good opportunity now while Rock climbs high to run back in. Let's get your screenshot button ready for the photo pass. Low and in from the left, vBBMF's piece de resistance, Lancaster PA 474, better known as the City of Lincoln. The mono-opt markings she wears, PA 474 will always bear the coat of arms of the City of Lincoln right at the nose. Past couple of years, Lancaster's been painted to represent 2 aircraft. On the left side, PA 474 wears the markings of 460 Squadron of the Royal Australian Air Force, coded ARL, or L for Leader. Leader carries the nose art of a kangaroo playing bagpipes, indicating the Australian and Scottish backgrounds of its crew. The right side carries the markings of 50 Squadron, with code letters VNT, representing the Lancaster flown by Flying Officer Douglas Milliken, DFC, grandfather of former vBBMF leader, Squadron Leader Andy Millie Milliken, on 27 of his first tour of 30 operations. The Lancaster first flew in 1941, and the type celebrates its 80th birthday this year. Note the bomb doors open here, we get a good view of the bomb bay. Of the 7,377 Lancasters produced, 3,249 were lost to enemy action, with a further 200 destroyed or written off in crashes. Lancaster bomber had a crew of 7: pilot, navigator, bomb aimer, flight engineer, wireless operator, mid-upper gunner and rear gunner. Today the Lancasters routinely flies with a crew of 4 or 5 plus ground crew for landaways. Coming back now, you may be able to see the reef in the nose of PA 474. Bomb bay doors closing slowly as she goes round for the second time. vBBMF's flight crew is comprised of 2 pilots, a flight engineer, and 1 or 2 navigators who can be seen perched meerkat-like behind the pilot's armoured headrest as they try to guide the aircraft to display venues on time and on target. Scoopy's got the gears and flaps down there. We hoping she'll run in past the show centre, 45-degree timeout and climb. vBBMF air and ground crew board the aircraft through a door on the rear right of the aircraft. Just after the door is a small brass plaque showing the Royal Air Force Bomber Command badge with its motto, "Strike hard, strike sure," and an inscription to remember the many, a counterpoint to the few of the Battle of Britain. It commemorates all those who flew with RAF Bomber Command during the Second World War, especially the very many who lost their lives carrying the fight to the enemy. 22,743 Lancaster aircrew did not return from operations out of a total of 55,572 Bomber Command aircrew who died during the Second War. A Lancaster flies today with a poppy reef in the bomb aimer's position as a mark of respect to the fallen Bomber Command aircrew who came from many nations to join the fight against Nazi tyranny. As the fighters rejoin the bomber now, it's worth mentioning that the RAF isn't just about pilots and aircrew. There's also engineers that work on the ground crew side, as well as support staff, cooks, drivers, logisticians, IT and technical staff. Every single person helps get every single aircraft airborne. Can't, of course, talk about fighters without mentioning the RAF's own ground fighters, the Royal Air Force Regiment. Fantastic sound. Battle of Britain Memorial Flight operates 6 Spitfires, 2 Hurricanes, a Lancaster, a C-47 Dakota, and 2 Chipmunk aircraft, primarily for training. The aircraft are flown by regular RAF aircrew and are serviced by regular and reserve technicians and engineers. These aircraft can regularly be seen in the skies over the UK from May to September each year. They are flown to celebrate and commemorate public and military events, from state occasions such as Trooping of the Colour to major air shows and flypasts for public events. The Royal BBMF are proud to have HRH Prince William, Duke of Cambridge, as patron. The motto of the Royal Air Force Battle of Britain Memorial Flight reflects our mission and honours the thousands of men and women in the air and on the ground that gave their lives for this country in the noble pursuit of freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, Virtual BBMF, lest we forget. As the aircraft return one more time. Let's just take a few minutes to remember those who gave their tomorrow for our today. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Scooby, Joshers and Rock Virtual Battle of Britain Memorial Flight.